Thank you for being with us. Bosa Eric are my names. We are learning files and folders. What we have, as usual, we follow the cursor. Where I'm explaining is where I direct the cursor. On the taskbar, we have the start button. When you click on it, or tap the Windows key on the keyboard, it activates the start menu. When the start menu activates, you leaf through the options. Among the options, we have Microsoft Office. We are going to use Microsoft Word. Document creation application called Microsoft Word among the Microsoft Office suite. On many computers, you see the Microsoft Office suite, but here, Word is arranged as one of the options. When you click on it, the application activates, presents you. On the left side, you see the option of new, to create a new file. Once that is activated, then you go on to see blank document. The provision for creating a blank document, a new blank file. You click on it, get a blank file, and that's the Microsoft Word file. What do we do next? We go on to put content and save it. Let's witness how to put content by typing in, get some content into the file, and then we later save it. Once you get content there, it follows with saving. We save our file. On the menus, we have the option for saving. We have a file menu. When you click the file menu, it activates the options. This is the file menu, and we take the option of save as to create a new file. You click on it. To save the file then, we need to direct the computer where to save the file. It has many directories where files can be saved. On the Save As option, we have a provision for leafing through the computer system to find the direction where our file is to be saved. So here, Browse allows us to find around the computer where can you save the file. We have many directories. On the Save As dialog that shows up on the left pane, you can locate where to save your file. As beginners, we want to save it on the desktop where it can easily be located. How do we do it? You leaf through the left pane to find the option of desktop. In case you can't find it here, in some cases, you don't find it here, just go to the address bar here, there is this caret, you click it and drops down a menu. On that menu, the first option is desktop. When you choose the option by clicking it, it displays desktop here, meaning the computer is going to save the file on the desktop. We prefer the desktop because we can easily locate our file. The next thing is to name the file. Here there is a default name picked from the text that I put in my file. But I would like to give the file an appropriate name. You name the file according to what it is, the content. You do it logically. So I'll give the file my names. Having named the file, directed where the file is to be saved, I go on to save. You click the save button, else you can press the enter key. The enter key is also called the return key on your keyboard. You can press it to save the file. If you're not satisfied with what is going on, you can cancel the operation here. This button allows us to cancel the operation. So let's go on to save. Once you save, the file shows up when it is saved. The next step is, can we locate our file once it has been saved? When you close the file, after saving it. It means when we have saved it, it's on the desktop. Then we have to look all over the desktop to see, to locate our file. In a case like this, where the desktop is busy, what can you do to find your file readily? Our file, you should be knowing the file name. If you know the file name, you can use a system of looking through the files by the first letter of the file name. Our file name, Eric, the first letter is letter E. How do we locate it? You click on any file of your choice, then press that first letter of your file in search. Because our file is beginning with letter E, we press E. Wherever there is a content that starts with letter E, it is highlighted. Go on to press letter E and highlight the content that starts with letter E. You go on doing it until you land on the file in question. So that's the method of searching for file. You press any file, press the first letter of your file until it lands on the file you're searching for. When you get to the file in question, to open it, you double click. 2 rapid clicks following simultaneously. Double clicking. When you double click, the file opens and it shows. There it is. So that's our file. So we need to see a situation where there are many files. If your files have accumulated and you need to collect them together for the sake of organization, how do you do that? Here we're having one file, but someone can have a couple of files on the screen. How do we get to work with many files? Here we are with our files, a couple of them. How do we organize them and get them in one place? So this is what happens. When the files are arranged like this, we can create a folder. When files have accumulated, we need a folder to collect all them in one space so that they're not spread about. We move the cursor to the free area of the desktop, right click. When you right click, a menu pops up. With that menu, we can have another menu coming from it. A menu that comes from another menu is what we call a sub-menu. So this is the main menu. We can have, when we choose the option of new, another menu pops out from that menu, which we call the sub-menu. So on the sub-menu, you have the option of folder. On some computers, you will see it around here. Then the folder option is clicked so that the computer allows you to create a new folder. So there it is prompting for the folder to be named. You give it a name that is appropriate to what you're doing. So when we have named our folder, the next step is to get the files into the folder. All the files should be got into the folder. How do you do that? You click on the file of your choice. When you have clicked, keep down the mouse button, that's the left side, or if you're using the laptop pad, you have to use the left side of the pad, the left button on the pad, and you scroll, drag. You drag. If you're using a mouse, you drag, you move it around. You move it when the mouse button is down, clicked down, and you move it. We call it click and drag. You move until the file gets to where the folder has been created. Then a pop-up comes showing you the action of transferring the file to where the folder you have created. You have created it and named it. So here the system is showing me I'm transferring the file to that folder by that name. When the file is where the folder is, you release and the file gets into the folder. Likewise, the other files also move them. Moving them one by one can be cumbersome and time consuming. What do? You drag, click and drag over them. Click and drag. Click the left side of the button and drag over them. When you drag over them, means they are all selected at a go. So you choose one of them after they are dragged, you click and drag over them, release the mouse button. When you release, they are all selected. So once you have released, then the next step is to transfer. You transfer by clicking on one of them, and you drag it, like we have seen before, to where the folder is, and you release. When you release, they all transfer into the folder. So when you open the folder, by double clicking, just like we open the file, you double click on the folder, and then you can see all the files in the folder. If you need to reverse the action to get the files out of the folder, you do the same action, click on the file icon, and then you drag it out of the folder to the desktop. Then it gets out. Click and drag, click on the file and drag it out, and gets out of the desktop. So likewise, if you are to drag all of them out of the folder, you select by dragging over them. You drag from the bottom for convenience. It's difficult to drag from here. You drag from the bottom, and they are all selected. Once they are all selected, you click at one of them and drag them outside. They get out of the folder. So that's how we get files into the folder and out of it. The case we have seen is when the files are in one place. They are easy to work with, to select. However, there can be a case where your files are spread about the desktop. How do you get them all into the folder? Yes, you can pinpoint one by one and drag into the folder. Locate one by one and drag into the folder, which can be tedious and time consuming. So we need to look at a method where the files are dragged, selected all at once, even if they are spread about, and you get them into the folder. What do we do? Let's first of all identify where our files are. We have this one, we have this, we have a file here, 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 we have here, and this one. So what we do, you select the file, the first file, press down the control button on your keyboard. After selecting the first file, press down the control button on your keyboard. While the control button is pressed down, when you press the first file, press down the control button, then go on to choose the files by clicking. While the control button is pressed down, you keep it in the pressed position, don't release the control button. The control button is abbreviated by CTRL on your keyboard. After pressing the first file, press it down, then select the others while the control button is pressed down. Go on selecting one by one until they are all selected. So once they are all selected, wherever they are, you go on by releasing. You release both the mouse and the keyboard button. You release them. When you release them, all the files have been selected. Then you drag, pick one of them and drag. Once you drag, like we've seen before, you drag to where the folder is, and you release. When you release all the files wherever they are, they transfer into the folder. So when you open the folder, you see all the files there. So that's one way of getting files into the folder. That is when they are spread about. They are not in the same place. So once the files have been selected, like the method we have seen, and you need to deselect, you may need to deselect some that you don't want to take with others. After clicking all of them and they are all selected, while the control button is still down. Before you release it, you can click again on one of the files. When you click, it means you have deselected the file you don't want to transfer. So on transferring, all the others will go apart from the one you have clicked second. So this file will stay because I clicked it. And when you check here, it's not there. So that is a method of deselection. You can select and then deselect one of them by clicking it again. Next, we go on to work with folders. How do we work with folders? Folders can also multiply just like the files. And in that case, you can collect your folders in another folder. So in that case, we have a folder having folders within it. A folder within another folder is termed a subfolder. So when you get a folder and put it in another folder, it becomes a subfolder. So in that case, you'll be having a main folder and a subfolder. Look at a situation like we have here. We have 3 folders. In each folder are files. Let's visit one by one. We have that folder, European trucks, and the truck names. Another folder, Asian trucks, truck names. We are mimicking a database of truck dealership. Another one, American trucks, and the files they are in. So 3 folders, as we see, and in each folder, there are files. Then we need to get these ones into one big folder. So this then becomes subfolders, and the folder is here created to contain all the folders. So we collect all the folders and drag them into the main folder. When you open the main folder, you see other folders, and in each folder there are files. When you inspect each folder, you find their files. Each folder has files, as you can see. So here we are seeing the main folder and the subfolder. This caret is showing us the folders they are in, the subfolders within this folder. When you click it, the drop down shows you the names of all the subfolders. When you click on each folder, it shows the files they are in. Displays the files they are in the display space. So that one shows us how to work with folders and collecting folders into one main folder. So each folder then becomes a subfolder in the main folder. Then we look at a situation where you want to get files into a subfolder. You open the main folder, so as it displays the subfolders, and then you locate the subfolder in question. So you drag the files, like we saw earlier, to the subfolder. When the subfolder highlights, you release the file. So you can similarly transfer files into the subfolder, just like we see with folders on the desktop. Or we can even work by opening the subfolder. You open the subfolder from the main folder. Open the main folder, then open the subfolder. Once the subfolder is open, then you go carefully, you avoid selecting other items. Carefully you drag into the folder when it is empty, and it contains the file there. So that is a way of managing files and folders. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and throw your comments. Thank you.